This is the game I made for my final project, and in this video I will be discussing the process of making it and reflecting on the completed project. For the software I decided to go with Unity, because it was the one engine that I was the most comfortable with and because there was a lot of documentation and tutorials on the internet. According to GameIndustry.biz, it is a software with a lot of advantages and it is great for beginners and for people who want to make small projects. I also used Visual Studio, which was the recommended code editor by Unity, because I was also really familiarized with it and how it worked. On the pre-production phase of the project, I hand drew some flowcharts on paper and translated them into a website to help me better understand some of the game logic. For the tools, I wanted to say that Unity has a lot of them when it comes to 2D map making with sprites, so I made this little time-lapse to show you how easy it was to build my level with Unity. I used my knowledge of C# as I already had some background with it, and my problem solving and organizational skills helped me to keep the project well organized, and when the time came for fixing code errors, I wouldn't spend so much time on them. I also watched a lot of YouTube videos that helped me throughout the process of making a game. I find that it is such an incredible way to learn new things, and it certainly helped me better understand the game mechanics that I was looking for to make my project. I also had to use Unity's documentation website, which was by far the most helpful platform during the whole process. If it wasn't for it, I wouldn't have been able to debug and fix certain pieces of my codes. As for the production pipeline, I had to do some research to better understand what it was, but most of the explanation was given to us during the project brief. I started writing concept ideas for the game and tried to find fitting sprites to make it easier to visualize what I was actually coding, like the attacks, the walking, and the blocking. Even though this wasn't something that had to do with my chosen discipline, I thought having some art and being able to see your code in action made things a lot easier, at least for me personally. After that, I started working on the pre-production part of the project, where I drew some flowcharts that helped me figure out the logic behind the game. During the production phase of the project, I took constant notes in my notebook to help me keep everything organized, and I also had to constantly debug code and find fixes for some badly written code or just some general errors. After the project was finished, I knew a lot more about C# than I originally did, and I learned how to program some very basic enemy AI, and this is something that I had never done before. The enemies were the area that required the most of my attention, and consequentially was the one where a lot of things went wrong. Mainly it was just an issue regarding the health bars, but there were also some problems with the interactions between the player and the enemies. The health bar issue was that when there was more than one enemy, the health bars of the other stopped working. As it turned out, it was just a problem with the naming of the enemy prefabs. The coding of the player, I think, was the most successful part of the whole project. There were a few kinks here and there, but every problem was easily fixable, and it was overall a really fun thing to program. If If I could start the project all over again, I would focus more on the concept and pre-production part of the project, as I find that establishing a really strong foundation before going into the production really makes everything so much easier later on. Overall, I feel pretty happy with the final product of my game, and I actually want to keep improving it because I think it would create a great opportunity for me to improve my programming skills.